So invites to the Xbox Cloud Gaming beta on web are finally going out, and I got mine. This is something I've been waiting months for, really since even before the Xbox Series X was released. And unfortunately, I'll tell you right now that I was kinda disappointed. But this video is gonna tell you exactly why I feel that way, so stick around. If you've been around my channel, you know that I have reviewed Google Stadia and Amazon Luna in separate videos here. And if you've never been around my channel, then hey, I'm Matt. I do thoughtful gaming videos here on YouTube. I love a game subscription. People that have been around know that about me, and I'm really interested in what cloud gaming has to offer. So far, the subscriptions that I've enjoyed, however, have been Apple Arcade, which is not a cloud gaming service, and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which has a cloud gaming service attached to it, but which I really haven't been able to use since I'm an iOS user. But that changed when I got my invite to the Xbox Cloud Gaming web beta. Now, Microsoft built this on the web and it works for iOS users, but it also works on PC and on the Mac in a web browser. And in this video, I tried it in all three of those places. I'm gonna tell you how my experience was on my iPhone, on my Mac, and on my PC, and exactly where it went wrong and where it went right in all of those places. Since I think it's most interesting, we're gonna start with iOS first. The first thing I'll tell you is that I immediately noticed a lot of stuttering while playing games on my iPhone. I jumped into Donut County first just because I knew that there was a mobile game version of that game on the App Store, and I was curious how the touch controls would work on Xbox Game Pass. Unfortunately, I really didn't get much of a chance to evaluate those touch controls, though I'll say I wasn't a fan, because the stuttering was so bad. I tried before and after resetting my Wi-Fi, and it was no better after resetting my Wi-Fi. I ran a speed test, it was perfectly fine. This building's pretty congested, but usually if I reset things, I generally have higher priority for a couple days. I can not wait to not live in an apartment. When it did run well, just for a couple minutes at a time, I much preferred playing with a controller. I did try other things than Donut County, including Control, which only worked with a controller and didn't have touch controls, as well as a couple of other games. One thing that really just got on my nerves about the Xbox Cloud Gaming web app on iOS is that it kept logging me out. I added the app to my home screen, I logged in, hit Remember Me, and I used two-factor authentication because I don't want people getting into my accounts, and I have to do that every time I open this icon. It's ridiculous. If you're wondering, I did try on my cell network. I had my pretty fast Wi-Fi, which I've told you I reset before, and I also tried it on 5G, and no luck, still the same stuttering issues. Now, I've had an experience where something didn't work great on iOS, but it did work great on the Mac, so I wanted to try it out on the Mac. And to give you an understanding of what I'm trying it out on, I'm trying it on the latest version of Chrome here, and I'm trying it over Wi-Fi. I don't usually plug my Mac in over Ethernet. I would actually have to plug in a few extra dongles to make that happen, and it's just not something I need on a regular basis. What I'll say is that there was less stuttering on the Mac, but there was still stuttering. When the stuttering is there, even though it's not as often, it is very bad, and it happens for kind of 10 seconds at a time. I jumped into Destiny, and sure, it was playable, but then every few minutes or so, I would get one of those 10-second stutters, and it would just make me awful. I haven't jumped into this season at all yet, so I was forced to play this cooperative mission, and I'm sure my teammates were like, what the hell is going on? When I played Control, I really noticed that the graphics were not great, and then it takes a really long time to load in some of these textures. Now, what we do know about the servers for Xbox Cloud Gaming, or you might have heard it called xCloud in the past, is that they run on what's essentially Xbox One S hardware. That's last generation's hardware, but that is what the service was built on, because it was built before the new consoles came out. Sometime this year, Microsoft does plan on upgrading this to the Xbox Series X hardware, and I think the graphics will be considerably better when that happens. I've played Control on my Xbox Series X, for example, and didn't run into any of these graphical issues. And really, graphics are not so much of a concern when it comes to cloud gaming, because you can kind of put the best hardware in the cloud and you're really just streaming the video to the user. Microsoft just needs to get on that upgrade, but maybe they're having a hard time finding consoles too. Something that's interesting and unfortunate about Xbox Cloud Gaming is that it is currently limited to 720p, but they've said that when they upgrade the hardware to the Xbox Series X, that it will unlock 1080p. Now, if you don't know, most of the other services are 1080p as well. Only Google Stadia offers a 4K option, and that comes with a pro subscription, but their default is 1080p. One thing I was interested to know is if I could play with a mouse and keyboard. I'm used to playing Destiny 2 with a mouse and keyboard, for example, and so I'm sitting at my Mac using a mouse and keyboard. Could it work? And the answer is no. I didn't find a game that worked with mouse and keyboard. I also didn't find any documentation of what is officially supported. I found one person on Reddit saying that they figured out how to play Gears 5, I think, using a mouse and keyboard. I didn't try it. Now, I did also try the beta on my PC. Now, my PC is connected directly to the internet over Ethernet. And I will say I had a much better experience over Ethernet, but I did still have minimal stuttering. It was a lot less frequent. It was a lot shorter instances, but it did still happen. Whereas when I would play on Amazon Luna or when I was having a good session on Google Stadia, I really never ran into that kind of thing. I kind of even thought that the video looked better playing on my PC on Chrome. It may have to do with just the fact that it's Windows and they do management of video on Windows. I'm not so sure. Again, there was not a mouse and keyboard option here, but I honestly like playing these kinds of games with controllers anyway. I know for some of you that's some kind of sacrilege, but that's what I like. While I didn't have a ton of visual stuttering, I did have an instance for about 5 seconds where the audio cut out. I thought it might have been my PC's audio, but in the middle of it, something chimed on my PC. Not like, the USB sound where something comes in and out. It was, a notification of an email or something like that. It was clear that Xbox Cloud Gaming was not serving me audio for a little bit. There was really only one other issue here, and it's that I noticed that the menus in Control were really slow to pop up. I didn't really notice a ton of input lag when I was playing Control, but for some reason when I was trying to open the menus to change weapon mods, it would just take forever. I'm not really sure why that is, but maybe I just wasn't noticing input lag in other cases, and I did there. That could very well be the case. I do want to talk about the web app itself, and what I'll say is that on iPhone, it works pretty great. Very similar to how I felt about how Amazon Luna ran. It feels pretty native. Maybe not as great as Amazon Luna, but pretty close. Navigating through the interface to find the game that you want to play is really great, even if the touch controls in those games are not. I'll say the web app worked fine on the Mac on Chrome. I did have one issue where when Chrome was in full screen and I was using my controller to navigate down in the interface, the controller would navigate down, but the page wouldn't scroll down with it. I would have to exit full screen with my mouse, and then it would do that. I'm not sure what was going on there. Contrary to that, when I did the same thing on the PC, it was incredible. There was even this extra navigation item at the top of the screen when I tried to exit full screen that was specifically to give me that option. It's very clear that they have done work to make this work on PCs very well. I really want Xbox Cloud Gaming to be good because I believe in Xbox Game Pass. It's the service that I enjoy using the most personally. It's where I play a lot of games myself, but it's just not. The dream for me is picking up what I'm playing at home while I'm traveling on my iPad, or, running into the office and playing there so I don't have to interrupt what my husband is watching on television, or being afraid of interrupting it in case HDMI CEC turns on whenever I try and locally remote play on my phone or something. However, right now, if I use this, it will be on my PC over Ethernet, or, if I get a Mac that has Ethernet eventually, maybe there. And besides that, I'm going to stick to local streaming to the Xbox app. It's clear to me that right now, Xbox is just not as good at the network stuff as Google or Amazon. That sucks. We do know that eventually they will be as good in the visuals department. I really think that Xbox Series X upgrade in the back end is super necessary. Like this video if it was helpful to you, or if you think that other people should see it. Actually, I know a bunch of you are gonna dislike this video because anytime I have a bad experience and I'm honest about it, a bunch of y'all dislike it for brand loyalty reasons, I think. I'm not quite sure. I am working currently on an Animal Crossing video that is also kind of about the pandemic and loss of control and body image and things like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, do subscribe to the channel, or you can just, subscribe if you want to see more of my face. I'll see y'all next time.